OK, so, as I said, while you've been sleeping, breaking news this morning, the ISIS terrorist known as Jihadi John has almost certainly been killed in an American drone strike. His real name's Mohammed Emwazi. He is the British terrorist who carried out a number of beheadings on Western hostages in Syria.
Joining us now to discuss this breaking story is counter-terrorism expert Sally Leaversley. Sally, firstly, do you think they have got him? They're saying 99%. Any more update on that?
Well, the words that are coming out of the Pentagon do suggest that there was a camera on a drone giving them a very good facial identification of him. And the way in which they've described him as being evaporated or eviscerated, there have been some pretty crude words coming out of the Pentagon. It suggests that they actually saw that process of death pretty clearly.
You say crude words, he did some pretty crude things,
some people would say too good for him.
I don't think so. I think that we have to look at that as the last resort way to protect, and in particular to protect this country from further radicalisation and to protect hostages that he may have been about to kill.
Are you saying you would have preferred to have seen him face a court?
Everyone would prefer for people to go through the justice system. In this situation where there's no reasonable way of achieving capture of that person, then they have to be stopped by whatever way is possible.
So they used a drone, I believe,
It appears that, and with the cameras and the sight, it means the identification, it's much more a precision instrument, so we're not looking at a lot of collateral sort of effects.
Here's a big significant thing about this, right? This was in Raqqa, in Syria. And guys like him, they put these hoods on, they put these masks on, they think they've blurred out the background, no one can identify where they are. They think they are untouchable. This is a game changer, isn't it?
It is, because it shows that despite being hidden and taking a lot of avoidance measures and wearing a mask, this person was identified and he was eventually stopped from what he was doing. But the masks are interesting, particularly the way he wore those masks. When we saw him doing those very brutal killings, and we all watched, obviously, the British hostages being absolutely brutally murdered, he finds it easier with a mask on to kill because that subject he's killing can't see him. It's an inhuman way, and it's much easier to kill with a mask on like that. It's a symbol of a death cult, and that was why he was so important to ISIS.
I just immediately think there will be another Jihadi John, surely, waiting in the wings. I mean, what effect do you really believe this will have on ISIL terrorists, because they're fanatical and they'll see his death as something heroic, that he died for the cause, fighting the West, fighting the enemy. Surely there'll just be another Jihadi John or likewise waiting in the wings to step into his shoes.
Oh, it's a major blow to ISIS because they live on this type of symbolism, and he was being copied internally within ISIS. People were dressing up like him to do similar killings. But from our point of view in Britain particularly, young people watching that felt you could kill and get away with it forever. And it's shown that you can't and you will be stopped.
So it's a strong message that they're putting out there as a deterrent.
It is, but it's a message to the parents of all young people, particularly 14, 15-year-olds, like him. He was an ordinary boy at school and probably was radicalised when he went to university. But the message to the parents is, don't let your children be influenced by their friends or your relatives.
But they didn't know. They claim they don't know. I mean, most of the parents that you've seen interviewed say we had no idea that this was going on. Do you believe they have no idea?
Well, we've heard the story through the drug culture, haven't we? But parents had to become aware and had to watch for the signs. They had to see who their children were associating with, who was influencing. Sometimes it's someone in the family. What are they getting over the internet? But in some religions, the duty of a child to a parent is to do what the parent says. So the parents have to command the children not to go and become terrorists. And what this cult does with these young ones is it says your religious parents must not be believed. So there's a real move to try and separate them, and parents can tell when children are no longer listening to them. So you do have signs in the family.
Sally, let me ask you, I mean, there were the murders of James Foley and Alan Henning and David Haynes, which we remembered, so many more people. Then we haven't heard so much about him. Was he prevented in doing these things, or did this tactic change?
My thought is that the level of counter-terrorism activity going on, when we say, yes, this person has been killed, there's been an absolutely huge operation that will have been going on, probably many countries contributing little bits of intelligence so that they could place him at that point in that time. So it really is a massive outcome of intelligence to get that type of person in that situation and to stop them.
Okay. Sally, thank you very much indeed. Thank you. That, we believe, US forces carried out that airstrike just after midnight last night, UK, on targeting that Islamic State group of which Jihadi John, Mohammed Amwazi, was part of. That took place in Raqqa in Syria. Your views very, very welcome on this morning. Did he get the justice he deserved, or would you have preferred to see him face a court?